Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studios on this beautiful spring day. Great sunshiny day most of the day. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine, Smoking Jim Frazier. Chip Hayner's here. Sad to say the new rookie, Nick Callis, cannot be here today. And we'll carry on with this. We got a lot of great sports to talk to you, and we got some entertainment from at least Smoking Jim Frazier. He has a tradition here. So we'll try to keep that up. I got some promos here. First up, we got Anthony in the control room, and we got our new man, Dan, a Bethel Park guy going to Slippery Rock. Check out Olive Oil's Pizzeria. That's Smoking Jim rudely interrupting us and showing that he only favors Cal U and Gateway. But other than that, he's an honest man. Olive Oil's Pizzeria, 412-831-1900, Hillcrest Shopping Center. Great Italian food, salads, even desserts. They have soup. You name it, they got it. Check it out. Tell the owner, Frank Fanero, that Al Levine, the talking machine, said you got to order a meal from him. Next up, we end each show with Stay Joey Strong. Boy, that Anthony in the control room is running the camera perfectly. Here's Joey Fabus before DIPG, the brain cancer that killed him. After he had DIPG, he died at 9 years old just before his 10th birthday. And they started the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. They've raised over $100,000 in the last 7 years. And you can go to their 501c3, donate money, as little as $1, whatever you can afford, just to help them find a cure from the doctors for DIPG. So just take care and check them out. And the family does a lot of great things there with the tragedy like that. Next up, another 501c3. Let's see what Anthony does here. Look at that, he centered it. Bethel Park Historical Society's Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, 2600 South Park Road. You know the old red trolley here on the hill, that's where it's at. They have my favorite green tea place, which is a coffee place, Reginald's Coffee. They have fresh roasted coffee beans from all over the world. They got great loose leaf green tea that I was drinking when I could go in there. Hopefully we can get back in there, but they have seating outside. They have Wi-Fi for Smoking Jim to keep up with his sweeties. So check out Reginald's Coffee. And the schoolhouse was built in 1905, and they refurbished it, put new roof, windows, new cupola above, put the old school bell up there, got a new school bell at the high school. And it's traditional, and it's a great place. Look for their events in the future. Next up, this nice lady, Kathleen Miller, may need a kidney. She's at 17% kidney function. When she gets down to the level where I was, stage 4 renal failure, she's looking for living donors. Contact Montefiore Hospital and ask to be a living donor and see if you can match and get Kathleen a kidney. Next up, Bethel Park Community Foundation. Whoops. There we go. Thanks, Anthony. You corrected that. They have grants for you from $100 to $5,000 for your group in Bethel Park doing great things. It can help you to continue that and expand what you're doing in Bethel Park. We appreciate you. We've given out, I'm a trustee on the board, we've given out $1 million over 25 years and expect to give out more. So give us a contact at www.bpcf.org. Again, bpcf.org. Get an application. Next up, Dave Cable likes to have a little fun at my expense. Look at my smiling face on Uncle Sam. I want you for BPTV. You can be like our newest volunteer, Dan. You can be like Anthony. You can be like Nick. You can be like Connor, who's not here today. Tell them Uncle Al sent you. Give Dave Cable a call. Yes, that's his name. 412-831-3304. and you can be a volunteer here on the camera and the control room when we do shows on location. So check that out. Next up, I don't know, Anthony, if I can do my business card trick for Skeet Service Station.
I don't think so, Al.
Could I just try and see?
Maybe at your camera.
Okay. You know I'm an idea guy. This is live TV, so we're trying it. Okay. 6103 Library Road, Finleyville. Red, white, and blue station past the DQ, past Trax Farm, past that tiki bar. Just go right there. Red, white, and blue, Skeet Service Station. Skeets Lewandowski owns it, runs a great buffet on Mondays. You have to check it out. Not always healthy food, so I haven't been there lately, but that's just how it is. And 724-348-4715. Again, they work on anything and everything that runs on gas. They even do electronic tools. They can fix that up. And just give them a call again, 724-348-4715. And they sponsor What's on Your Mind. So Smoking Jim, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
Coming at you.
you got to see Levine.
Thanks, Chip.
I tell you what, Al Levine, the talking
What?
machine, my new good friend Dan the man, even my cat could get a degree from Slippery Rock.
Disclaimer, these are just Smoking Jim's opinions because he comes from the great school of Gateway, which somehow he didn't learn math.
And trust me, he wouldn't know what to do with the cat.
All the world
Thank
needs,
you, Chip.
the world needs just another gym teacher. Hey, Al Levine, the talking machine. Hey, listen, tomorrow I'm going to a place called Burgatory
Yeah,
for a burger. Somebody told me to go there. I went to Red Bibs last week.
yeah.
Each week I'm going to do a different burger. You're trying to eat healthy. Does anybody got any burger ideas? Anybody
What are you
been
going to
to
get?
Burgatory?
Whatever we say to get on it, he scrapes everything off it, even the bun, and just eats the burger.
That's true. That's true.
So, in other words, he's just being entertaining and funny.
No, but I'm going. Everybody told me to go, but they got 9,000 different burgers. I don't know what burger
Order
to
fish.
Huh?
Order fish.
No, I'm gonna get a burger. Maybe
Order
I'll get,
fish.
maybe
That'd
I'll
be
get
healthy.
an
Get
Get the
Impossible
burger that is half ground beef and half ground bacon.
Are you serious? Oh,
You asked for a suggestion.
Chip always give me some good ideas.
Here's what you should get: the
And then wash it
meatless.
down with one of those adult milkshakes.
They do have that
He
there. You
can't
been
drink
there?
alcohol.
Oh, adult milkshakes. No, I know they got milkshakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what to do. My suggestion, since
Yeah.
you're trying to be healthy,
Yeah.
you have heart issues, maybe diabetes, some breathing problems.
I
Go-
got sickle cell.
Well, go with a meatless burger. Okay?
Yeah, Impossible Burger.
Yes.
No, I'll never do that. But anyhow, Al,
Just a suggestion.
anyhow, maybe next week I'll do
You
that.
asked, I gave you my
Yeah,
suggestion.
maybe next week.
I don't care if you
How
disrespect
about a
it.
vaccine burger?
yeah. But hey,
That ain't happening.
Al Levine, the talking machine.
Yes.
I know Anthony, probably Dan, yourself, Connor, Rookie of the Year, Nick. Only one that will admit when they're wrong is Chip. Hey, listen. I know
Hold it. I got to do my disclaimer since you're bringing
admitted
up.
You were wrong?
I said the Penguins could make it to the Super Bowl and possibly win it. I was 110% wrong.
Listen.
3 years in a row, let me tell you my disappointment, since you think I don't say I'm wrong. 3 years in a row, they couldn't get out of the first round. What was I thinking? I'm wrong.
And I told you guys 3 years ago, the Flurry curse was on. Listen, this was a team, and Chip knows a lot more hockey than I do,
Yes, he does.
and so do you.
Yes,
but
I
this
do.
is a team that you know could have won one, maybe two Stanley Cups. They got rid of the chemistry. It's almost, you know what it reminds me of, and I'll wrap this up real quick because I know
Hopefully.
you guys want to talk about the Penguins for the last time. It almost reminds me, Al Levine, the talking machine. I always tell people, back in the heyday, San Francisco wasn't the best team. The reason they won all those Super Bowls was, in partly, was because of Joe Montana. And I'll give you one
Where's he
example.
from?
He's from somewhere near KLU.
Madness and
No, he's from Ringgold, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
same thing. Same
Yeah,
thing.
that's where
Same
they go
thing.
to school.
Same thing. Rust Belt. He's from the Rust Belt. hey, if you want to be depressed, just go to Denora or Menneson. But hey, hell, Lavina talking machine, you get me off subject. But
It wasn't hard.
Super Bowl.
Thanks, Chip.
Super Bowl fourth quarter. San Francisco's dead tired. They have nothing left. Cincinnati just scored. They're going to win the Super Bowl. San Francisco's 88 yards away from pay dirt. They need a touchdown to win. Joe Montana runs in a huddle. Everybody's exhausted, man. They got nothing left.
Yeah.
The tank is on empty. Joe Montana looks in the stands and says, hey, there's John Candy. Broke the ice, relaxed everybody. They moved all the way down the field, 88 yards. He throws the winning touchdown to John Taylor. That's what team winning chemistry can do, and that's what Fiore was. He was a first-round draft choice of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he was part of that tight puzzle. And I said before, they'll never win another Stanley Cup now because the curse is on.
So how many Stanley Cups has he won since he left? That's what I thought.
Again, he was the same amount Joe Montana won after he left San Francisco. He was part of the fabric of the chemistry. Team winning is chemistry. He was part of the
Smoking
chemistry.
Jim, you know I
here.
believe none of this, but for our younger fans, they don't know who John Candy is.
I wish I could say I was wrong, but I'm right.
No, but John Candy.
Look at the hat. You think I'm cheering against the Penguins? Look at that.
You got-
Nobody got a hat like
You got a
this.
free
Yes, I
hat
do. Yes, I do. And I've got one from 2017 as well.
just because your
And I've got
best
one from 2009.
just because your best friend Jody gave you a hat. She got it from somebody else. She re-gifted it to you because she knows you never watched hockey.
And that's what's on my mind.
I don't know. Thank you, Smoking Jim. We'll move on to Chip Hayner. What's on your mind, Chip?
Oh, thank you. And 2 weeks ago, everybody, I admitted I was wrong about the Pittsburgh Penguin teams, and unfortunately, they made a quick exit from the playoffs. And I think, the Penguins' problems are many. And, if you look at what happened during the course of the season, once again, the Penguins' stars failed to show up
Power outage.
when the lights were the brightest. Sidney Crosby was a -3 for the series. Jake Gensel was a -3 for the series. And once again, Mike Sullivan was out-coached by Barry Trotz in the
just
playoffs.
to interrupt you, he
This-
didn't change anything with.
Well, and it kind of reminds me of what people say about Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, that they did not make any adjustments. They kept continuing to do the same thing and expecting a different result. Well, it's the definition of insanity. But the problems were many. Everybody wants to hang the loss of this series on Tristan Jarry, and yes, he's the goaltender, so a large portion of the blame. But I think really the reason the Penguins lost that series had something to do with Tristan Jarry. I mean, we saw the mistakes that he made on a national scale, but Tristan Jarry was part of a goaltending tandem, and with his partner, together they formed an adequate enough goaltending duo to make a run in the playoffs. Unfortunately, Casey DeSmith was injured and unable to play in any game in the series.
Yeah.
And Tristan Jarry was hung out to dry, having to play 6 games in a row. And he didn't play 6 games in a row at any time during the season. And he performed better after some rest.
Yeah.
And, would that have made a difference in the series? I think it very well could have. So the fact that they didn't have a backup goaltender, they had a guy in a goaltender's uniform named Maxime Legacy, who has played a grand total of 18 games in the NHL, played 1 regular season game for the Penguins, even though he did have a shutout in the final game of the season.
Playoffs are different.
It just didn't bode well. There was, the Penguins needed to become more physical, and they needed to do what the Islanders were doing to the Penguins goaltender. They needed to start harassing him. Sorokin was way too comfortable in the net. And the longer the series was going on, the better Sorokin had become. So the Islanders had the recipe to beat the Penguins. You know,
Again, yeah.
You know, and it's sad to see 3 years in a row, first round exits. You know, and at this point, what did the Penguins do? Obviously, none of the Penguin fans want Tristan Jarry back in the net ever again. He's been absolutely roasted on social media. You know, what are the Penguins going to do? Are they going to keep the big three together? Personally, I think that, you know, it's about time to break up the band. You know, Evgeny Malkin was nothing short of a gigantic disappointment this year. I think actually the Penguins played better without him this year than they did with him.
You've said that numerous times.
You know, and you know, he'll have spurts of playing brilliantly now, and then followed by 6 weeks on the injured list. You know, that just for somebody that you're paying $8, $9, $10 million for,
Yeah.
you expect more, and you expect him to show up in the big games. And you know, where was he? You know, it's sad to say, but we got a long summer. There's a lot of work to do, and you know, what are the Penguins going to do now? All of the NHL teams at the end of the season have to make players available for the expansion draft,
Seattle.
just like we did, and when the Las Vegas Knights started. The Seattle Kraken are going to start playing hockey next year, so every team is going to have to leave some player unprotected. Who's it going to be on the Penguins? We'll wait and see. But another disappointing summer at the paint can. That's what's on my mind.
Thank you, Chip. And I was going to apologize. Okay, Smoking Jim, go ahead.
I know, Chip, you said that Penguins should break up the big three, but you've been wrong before. But here's what my question I have for you, Chip. Listen, I don't like watching hockey on television. So
When
I
have you
watch
watched hockey?
it. I love hockey.
That'll be the first time.
But I heard that Crosby got wiped out yesterday, and none of the Penguins helped out. What was your feeling about that?
Well,
think
you know,
that
I
had
think
something to
that
do
that's
with it?
not the only person that was getting beat up regularly.
Oh.
Jake Getzel, the whole entire series,
He got
got
crushed.
absolutely pummeled. And, you know, and Mike Sullivan's way of playing the game is to just skate away. Well, you know, that's great. But ultimately, you know, the first game, Evgeny Malkin came back. He had 2 assists, and he looked like a great contributor. The next game he played, the Penguins had 12 penalty minutes. So they had 6 penalties in that game, and 3 of them were against Malkin. Malkin is easy to goad into retaliating, and it's generally not the guy that
mad
instigates it. It's the guy that retaliates that ends up in the penalty box. And, you know, there was no change in the way they played the game, and I think it was a mistake. Something should have been done about it, and it wasn't. So, you know, who do you blame that on? Do you blame it on the players, or do you blame it on the coach? Because the players are only doing what the coaches tell them to do. They're only playing the way the coaches want them to play. Because if you don't do those things, you're not going to play. So, you know, where do you want to point the finger of blame? And I think there's a finger of blame to be pointed all around. And, you know, we'll see. Will Mike Sullivan be back next year? I mean, he did a great job in the regular season this year. But, you know, it's the playoffs that count.
And Chip, to that point, there's always an expiration date on coaches, whether you want to acknowledge it or not.
Especially
NHL,
in the outs, it's usually 4 to
That's
4.5
why
years.
You know what I'm going to say. It's always around 4 years. Guess what they did after his 4th year? They re-upped him.
They re-upped them, but just because, you know, the way things are in professional sports, contracts don't mean anything. Because look what's going on with the NFL. Guys have signed contracts for guaranteed money, and I don't want to play here. You hurt my feelings, so they're gonna opt out.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, thanks, Smoking Jim. Thank you, Chip. Appreciate it. Well, I already gave my apology on the Penguin prediction, so I'm not going to repeat it again. But I heard this crazy story about the Buccos, and Chip Hayner put the video on so I could see Will Craig, who I didn't know was playing first base,
It's the only first baseman they've got right now.
Yeah, I didn't realize we're down to that, but Moran's on the IL. And
All right, Moran's on, Evans is on the IL.
I knew Evans was too, yeah.
I don't understand why they don't try to put Gregory Polanco there, but I mean, I don't even understand why he plays. But
He should not.
I can give you 11 million reasons why he plays, but
No,
none of them
so
are any good.
What happened is, if you guys all heard this, like I got an update on Google or something, and it said about something about Will Craig, and they screwed up 2 outs, and a throw comes the first, which should have ended the
Wait,
inning.
2 outs, runner on third.
Yeah,
And if I may,
go ahead.
the ball's hit by Javi Baez, Cubs shortstop.
Right.
Hits the ball to the third baseman, Eric Gonzalez. He throws the ball across the infield. Will Craig catches the ball, not on first base,
About 5 feet away.
closer to home base. Javi Baez is running down the first baseline, so Will Craig gets the brilliant idea that, oh, here, I'll just run over and tag him. However, Javi Baez turned around and started running back towards home plate. So as he's running after Javi Baez trying to tag him, the guy on third base seizes his opportunity, and just as he's about to tag Javi Baez, the guy comes sliding home, and he throws the ball to the catcher, who grabs the ball, and the tag is late, so the runner scores. Javi Baez turns tail and runs to first base. However, nobody's cover first base. Adam Frazier comes running over from second base. The throw gets away from him, rolls into right field. Javi Baez ends up on second base. A run scores where all Will Craig had to do when he caught that ball was turn around, walk 5 steps over to first base, step on first base. The inning's over, no run scores.
Can I see that video anywhere?
I will show it
Chip,
to you.
Chip
after
will
the
show it to you after the game. But I heard this. Now, I played baseball, unlike Smoking Jim. And in T-ball, I remember my son and all the other kids playing T-ball, and they're maybe like 5, 6 years, 7 years old. Everybody knew to get a guy out when there's a play to the infield, you throw it to first base. If you're a first baseman, you catch the ball, and the base is like here, you step on the base. You don't go jogging after Javier Baez, who's fast. He's jogging like this, not even reaching the ball out that far to even get him. When I saw the video, it was so ludicrous, I couldn't even believe it was happening, but that's what went on. Now, Smoking Jim's going to have trouble understanding it, so we'll let him have a moment there, and then we're going to come back with some fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac while he watches the video.
Steelers show blitz. He throws the pass up. It's going to be picked up. James Harrison has it. He's running up the sideline. 25-30.
Hi, Bethel Park. Uncle Al speaking. I'm asking you to come help us behind the scenes at BP TV. We're looking for some proud Bethel Park residents to help us make the shows that you want to watch. For more information, contact Station Director Dave Cable, and we will see you behind the cameras at BP TV.
In a world of Nintendo games, has grown popular over time.
Completing all of the levels in Yoshi Island. Have to find a secret exit in Donut Plains to go to the Star World.
But now on BP TV, a new show you've got to see.
Steady place. Oh, it came out at the time I was landing.
One gamer, one winner, one fan, one man. He is Bethel Park Gaming. It's an all-new game show to play around all Nintendo games he can find. And he is ready to beat one game in one episode. And you can be a part of this too by watching all new episodes of Bethel Park Gaming on your local TV station and both YouTube and Facebook pages every Monday at 12 p.m. right here on BPTV.
Steelers show blitz. He throws the pass up. It's going to be picked up. James Harrison has it. He's running up the sideline. 25-30.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. I got my main man, Dan the man, back there, and we got the guy that makes us all look good, never a hair out of place, on the ones and twos. My main man, Anthony, got me wanting to get some Arby's.
Why?
Arby's, man.
Why?
He put a picture of Arby's up. And I tell you what, Al Levine, the talking machine, Anthony's such a good influence on me. I started crushing fresh orange juice in the morning. I started to put it up. It never seems to come out right. Al Levine, the talking machine. Maybe I ought to start peeling it first. And
Yes.
and my main nemesis, Chip. And I tell you what, I learned a lot of baseball from Chip. Thanks for the video. I didn't see nothing wrong with that. I really didn't. I thought he did what he was.
Disclaimer: Smoking Jim has never played baseball.
I mean, I know
That proves it.
but it's in real time action.
That proves it.
I mean,
You don't understand Smoking Jim.
That is one of the most embarrassing baseball plays I've ever witnessed by a team that I root for.
Well,
Smoking Jim, here's how simple it is. 2 outs, the ball at third, the guy throws it at first. It's off of first base by a few feet. All he has to do is get there before the runner, and the inning's over.
I don't think he could've
That's
got
why
there.
you don't understand.
I don't think he could have got there. Video I see, maybe I had a bad angle.
You had the greatest angle ever. What happened? All he had to do is step on the bag.
Well,
Runner's out.
All I know is Al Levine, the
Out.
talking machine. I wonder how much Arby's I could buy with the $1,250 I won on the Pirates this week. I tell you what, especially that 20-1 game that they lost. Al Levine, the talking machine. I was counting my money early. But hey, enough of that. I don't know if you guys ever seen a black man cry.
Yeah.
I've never cried before in my life, but I may tear up on this Al Levine, the talking machine. I get a friend request yesterday. That's Facebook. I got 5,000 friends to your 100, Chip. But I can send you. I can throw some your way. if you want.
Because you know what? I have no idea how many Facebook friends I have. It matters not to me.
If you ever want to promote something, just promote it on my page. But Al Levine, the talking machine, I get a friend request
Get to the point of this.
from this guy named JoJo Ruffalo, right?
Yeah.
So I look up, and man, I almost got teary-eyed. The top 3 recruits my freshman year,
Yeah.
was Lenny Skillings from Deary High School.
What year was this?
Of course, myself,
Okay.
and probably the biggest recruit, not the biggest recruit, but probably the biggest name of that class was Joe Ruffalo from Monessen. And as you know, Monessen is very close to KLU.
Yeah.
Joe Ruffalo was great all around. I forgot he played baseball because I'm reading one post, and his son asked somebody who was back there at that time that coached him to talk about his dad's either 500 or 600-foot home run.
Wow.
And I think he quit football after 2 years to concentrate on baseball. But just a great guy. He was like a Hines Ward, always smiling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my biggest regret is the day I left the campus of Cal, I never went back.
How
and
come?
that was my biggest regret, is that I didn't just keep in touch with, because we were all family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Once I left, I never went back, and I miss
Well, you
not,
weren't family anymore.
and I miss not seeing Joe Ruffalo. You know, 2 years ago, Lenny Skillings, my best friend, he died of an
I
aneurysm.
saw that.
Well, that was 3 years ago.
Was that 3 years ago?
Yeah,
that
and
he died?
that was 1979.
3 years ago. And then last year or the year before, I didn't realize, last year or the year before, this is not a laughing matter though, but you guys can laugh.
Okay.
Last year or the year before, Joe Ruffalo passed away suddenly. You know what I mean? And it's hard when you got guys who are good friends and you never see them again. But just for his son to reach out and his son was a great baseball player. His son reached out to me. He was at the Pirate game yesterday when we were talking, and
Thanks, Jeff.
we definitely got to have him on. He quit playing baseball after his dad died to take care of all his properties because his dad was a great businessman. And just
Sounds
a
like
great
a
guy.
real estate tycoon.
But I tell you what, man, that year, and what brought it up, and I'll be done like in 30 seconds, Chip.
No, we
God,
got some
we're not
extra
going
time.
anywhere.
Somebody sent me a picture of Carrick. I know that's where Anthony went to Carrick High School.
Yeah,
In 2000, they had 50 players on their football team.
yeah.
There's sometimes they only have 9, 11 players on the team. They had to forfeit football a couple years in a row because there wasn't enough football players. Just to tell you how different it was, I know Chip went to Baldwin. That's a big, a lot of students to pick from. And I let people know my senior year, we didn't have a freshman on the football team. We didn't have a sophomore on the football team, all juniors and seniors, and we cut 30 players to get down. Now, we went undefeated, and we won a state championship, but we had to forfeit because we had a handful of illegal players. But 2 teams we did not want to play, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. 2 teams we didn't want to
Name
play.
'em.
Westinghouse Bulldogs and the Monessen Greyhounds. They had this quarterback named Reggie Allen, black kid, end up going to Indiana State.
Race car.
Guess who was his center? Toonch Yilkin. And if you remember, Larry Bird was there at that time. If you remember the Sports Illustrated thing
I
with
do.
the 2 cheerleaders, Toonch Yilkin ended up marrying the one.
I
She ended
met
up
his
passing away.
wife then.
Well, she passed away.
I know. I met her before
Cancer.
she died.
The wide receiver on that team, now this is a few years after JoJo Heath went to Pitt, but the wide receiver on that team was Julius Dawkins.
Wow.
And then you had the great Joe Ruffalo, and you had another Allen in the backfield. Those Monessen Greyhound teams now, they don't have enough to field a team hardly. But back in the day, nobody wanted to play Monessen or Westinghouse. Rest in peace, Joe. I'm just so happy his son sounds like a class act. His son reached out to me. We can talk a lot of baseball because I played a lot of baseball. His son was a great baseball player.
Disclaimer.
Let me see what you found on that internet, on
Nobody.
that phone. Let me see that, Chip.
Lenny Skillings.
Lenny Skillings. You knew about Lenny? You knew Lenny?
He pulled it right up.
I'm pulling
Wow.
it right
How'd you
up.
pull up Lenny? No.
'Cause I know how
Smoking
to
Jim's
spell.
still
I gotta give you
babbling.
my government name so you can pull something on me.
I know how to spell.
You can spell Skillings?
Yes, I can.
I can spell it too, Smoking
I have a
Jim.
hard time.
I went to Keystone Oaks and I can spell.
Best grass in the
And what I
WCIL.
thought was true is true.
Pull that up so I can see what you read, man. Let a black man read.
Definitely.
My man.
No doubt about it. Thank you.
Almost cried. I missed
Thank
Joe.
you, Smoking Jim.
Welcome back, everybody. And last week it got a little bit heated with young Nick Callis and myself when he was talking about some of his problems with the game of baseball. And part of the issues that I had with young Nick is that if you're going to have a take on something, please present the facts and then let me know what your take is after the facts are presented so that people can make a decision on their own. And one of the comments that he made was that the pitchers are throwing the ball harder now than they have ever thrown it before, that the pitchers are better now than they've ever been. I beg to differ. And far be it from me to find facts to back up my argument, but here we go again. On September 24th, 2010, Aroldis Chapman set a record. His 105.1 mile per hour fastball was the first time the 105 mile an hour barrier had been broken. It wasn't Chuck Yeager breaking the sound barrier, but it was significant. But Major League Baseball now registers that pitch as 105.8.
Wow.
Over the course of the past decade, Chapman's fastest fastball had gotten faster by nearly a mile per hour.
Wow.
What was a 105 mile an hour fastball can now be said with rounding to be the first recorded 106 mile an hour pitch in Major League Baseball.
Wow.
How can that be? It all comes down to where the pitch is measured. The moment the baseball leaves a pitcher's hand, it starts to slow down because of the drag, according to University of Illinois physicist Dr. Alan Nathan.
Wow, you're getting technical here, Chip.
Alan, just the facts, my friend.
All right.
A pitch that leaves a pitcher's hand at 100 miles an hour will, at sea level, slow down by 9 to 10% by the time it crosses the plate, some 55 to 58 feet later.
Wow.
So that 100 mile an hour pitch could be measured at 100 mile an hour at the pitcher's hand, 99 miles an hour at 50 feet from the home plate, 94 miles an hour midway, or 91 miles an hour as it crosses home plate. The rate of decrease varies based on atmospheric pressure. So a pitch that at the altitude of Denver's Coors Field slows less than a pitch at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Okay.
Difference being one is a mile above sea level, one is at sea level.
Makes sense to me, Chip.
Okay? The pitch FX system that Major League Baseball used in 2010 measures pitches at roughly 50 feet from home plate, which is where the 105.1 Chapman fastball was measured. The current MLB StatCast system measures velocity as the pitch leaves the pitcher's hand.
Whoa.
MLB has gone back and recalibrated the pitch FX pitches to convert them to their velocity at pitch release. That's why Chapman's fastest fastball found an extra 0.7 of a mile an hour.
Wow.
For decades, comparing pitch velocities has often been an apples and oranges discussion. The first radar guns that began appearing at ballparks in the late 70s and early 80s measured pitchers much closer to the plate. The speed gun developed by Decatur Technologies, a longtime maker of police radar guns, measured closer to the plate than the jugs gun. For scouts, the speed gun was known as the slow gun, while the jugs gun registered faster readings and was the fast gun. Then Stalker came out with Pro Sports radar gun in the early 90s. It measured velocity closer to the pitcher's release points than the jugs gun, so the jugs flipped to being the slow gun.
Wow.
A 90 mile an hour pitch on a speed gun could register at 92 on a jugs gun, 93 to 94 miles per hour on a Stalker. The tech continued to improve. A 94 mile an hour pitch on Stalker Pro registered as 95 versus the Stalker Pro 2. So when you read an 85 to 90 mile an hour fastball from the early 80s, realize that they would be registering much faster with current measurement tech. An 85 mile an hour fastball, if registered by speed gun at the plate, would be roughly 93 miles an hour if measured by StatCast out of the pitcher's hand. And that makes what the 100 mile an hour pitches Nolan Ryan threw in 1974, as measured by Rockwell laser radar instrument, relatively close to the plate, even more remarkable.
Wow.
So just so that we understand why it seems like pitchers are throwing the ball harder now, it has everything to do with where the speed is being measured from. So what they need to do to get a more accurate account is measure the pitches closer to the plate, because at what speed is the pitch crossing the plate?
Where the batter tries to hit it. Yeah.
Not where it's leaving the pitcher's hand. So,
I never knew that difference, Chip, so I
so
appreciate
this
it.
begs to a point that I was trying to make last week. I don't necessarily think the pitchers are better or they're throwing harder. I think the hitters are worse, and considerably worse. And if you look at the statistics, which I shall share with you next week,
Whoa.
okay, the statistics for the decline in hitting in Major League Baseball is significant. And
It's like this.
like I always do, I'll bring the facts with me.
Whoa. All right, Chip. Thank you very much. I didn't know that. I just wondered back in the 40s and 50s when they talk about Bob Feller and some other guys, how they measured the speed back then. That's what I had questions about, but I didn't know they were doing 50 feet. So that's interesting stats. Thank you for the information.
Joe.
What's that?
Picture of Joe Buffalo.
Oh,
Great man.
you find Joe. All right, I'll look at that in a minute. All right, thank you, Chip Hayner. On location. I have one thing to bring up on location first. Tony from Chick-fil-A, where my son and I go and get some nice breakfasts, asked Smokin' Jim, who is winning the NBA title this year?
It might come out of the East. Brooklyn looks awfully good, but I wouldn't shortchange Phoenix. Phoenix got a lot of talent this year, but if I had to say, I'd say it's Brooklyn's year.
Tony, you got it almost immediately, but he finally come up with Brooklyn. So there you go. Chip, Tony has a question for you. Will Derek Shelton be on the list of worst managers in Pirate history?
Absolutely not, Tony. And the reason being, look at what he has to work with. I mean, right now the Pirates are fielding roughly a double-A or a triple-A team. They've got one outfielder in Brian Reynolds. Right now they don't even have a first baseman, evidenced by Will Craig's play this afternoon.
Yes.
They've got a second baseman that's performing at all-star caliber. Shortstop, they're suspect, and they've got an average third baseman. They've got potentially a Rookie of the Year candidate who hasn't played in 2 months. They've got a laundry list of players playing left field. They've got Gregory Polanco that can't even bat his weight in right field, making $11 million. Jacob Stallings is playing admirably as a catcher, but he's not the best catcher in the league.
No, I was going to say he's gotten better from what he was.
That being said, then there's the laundry list of starting pitchers, of which, maybe one, possibly two, could be on any other major league starting rotation. So Derek Shelton has a long way to go, and he's got a lot of slack in the leash. Considering what was left, I mean, the team that he inherited was bad to say the least.
Sure.
And they're in a complete rebuild right now. Tony, check back with me in 2 or 3 years, and then we'll find out the answer to your question.
There you got it, Tony. He gave you the in-depth analysis that Chip is known for. Spot on. Got to agree with Chip.
And Chip's been wrong before. Everything he said was coaching.
Smokin' Jim,
coaching points.
I got to do the disclaimer. Like, Smokin' Jim's as good as the last person he sees, like Dan. He'll talk about Dan all show. Chip said he's wrong one time in the past year, and Smokin' Jim only notices he's wrong every time now because he said it once. So I appreciate that, Smokin' Jim. On location, got to share this. USS Fight Academy, one of the best nights of 11 amateur fights. The first fight of the night, 65-pounders. Smokin' Jim, I've never seen nonstop punching. Round 1, round 2, round 3. Smokin' Jim goes, Machine, do you think they'll slow down? I go, no. Third round started. Pop, 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 pop. They were popping like crazy. And it was 2 Noahs.
Yeah.
2 Noahs there. Go figure that. They got biblical on us. There was no flood, but there was a flood of punches.
Did I predict it was the fight of the night?
Yeah, that could have qualified for it, but they're 1-minute rounds and they're young kids. So other than that, 11 fights, 10 great fights, even a senior fight with our man Ed the Nurse was there fighting. He lost again in a rematch. Smokin' Jim asked for a rematch, and Ed lost the fight there. So even though he almost got wrestled to the ground and there should have been a disqualification, in my eyes and Smokin' Jim's eyes, it happened. But it was a great night. Thanks again to USS Steve Cunningham, Livia's wife, and Jim Santamaro for having us there. Jim Santamaro said, thank you guys, great job on the video. He appreciated it, so I shared that to him. And it was just a great night of fights, great weather night, great crowd there, and we had so much fun. It was just a great night. So glad we were honored to be able to film and announce the fights. And we had Nick with us, who the next morning, he asked me if I had dropped the camera off, because I have the camera. And I said no. He texted me. And I said, why? He goes, I have free time. I'd like to edit. So we met at 2 o'clock. He edited by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. It was up and out there. So thanks to Nick for doing that. It was great. We have another fight coming up. I just posted it, Smoking Jim. You didn't see it yet, but we're going to go to Longview Country Club. 3rd Avenue Jim and Jimmy honored us and asked us to film that. It'll be on Thursday, so we won't be doing our regular Pittsburgh Sportsline show. We'll be doing that on Tuesday, the 8th of that week. But we'll be out there at Longview Country Club. It's right outside of Monroeville and Penn Hills, or somewhere like that. So we'll be there. No jeans or shirts, so you got to have dress pants. So we got to all dress like that because it's a country club, I was told by him. Or even Smoking Jim, they won't let him in dressed like he is today. So just so you know, same with Nick and all of us, we'll be out there. We've been asked about a couple other shows possibly down the road. We'll see what happens with that, but there are some feelers out there. I just had a couple calls today. People were asking, when are we going to do shows on location? I go, if you get me a place, we'll go in and see. So we're looking at that. And that's all I have for you on location. We're definitely interested in doing some shows and expanding our wings, with this COVID getting better and better and less deaths and sickness. And most of us are getting vaccinated. Won't mention a guy that's not getting vaccinated on the show, but you all know him as Smoking Jim. But that's just my own private thoughts. We'll be back, and we're going to finish up the Penguin season with some conversation on that. So come on back with us.
And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Tipped off. Rachel Harris has it.
Bethel Park Inline Hockey. It's fast, it's fun, and we want you to play. Inline hockey is just like ice hockey, but no ice, and significantly less expensive and far less of a time commitment. Way less travel than ice hockey, too. The sport is played on a specialized rink at the Bridgeville Rollerplex, RMU Island Sports Complex, Harmerville's Alpha Arena, Hot Shots Indoor Sports Arena, and the Murraysville Sports Zone. Our teams play in the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Roller Hockey League, or the PIRHL. Each year, teams from elementary, middle, and high school play a 16-game schedule, plus playoffs, from October through March. Practice one evening a week and games on Saturdays or Sundays. The sport is recognized by the Bethel Park School District, which means student athletes can earn a letter once they reach high school. We play rivals such as Upper St. Clair, Peters Township, Canon-Mac, Pine Richland, North Hills, and so many more. This is no pickup game. You'll need regulation pads, hockey skates, helmets, and the coolest Hawks uniforms around. 2 refs at every game officiate 3 15-minute periods with a running clock. No icing, no offsides, no checking, but this sport will rock you. Registration is coming up, so check out our website at www.bpinlinehockey.com and sign up soon. Let's play!
And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Tipped off. Rachel Harris has it.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to end the Penguin season here with some talk, and then we'll talk some more.
May I interrupt before we get
go
into
ahead.
the Penguin talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I want to make note of a great day in Pirate history, May 26th,
Okay.
1959. Harvey Haddix
Yes.
lost
12.
a no-hitter in the 13th inning,
12. No.
pitched 12 innings of no-hit ball. And if Harvey Haddix did not get credit for a no-hitter for going into the 13th inning then Madison Bumgarner doesn't get credit for a 7-inning.
I got one.
Case closed.
Chip, I got one exception
I agree
to it.
with Chip there. I gotta agree with
It was
Chip.
one exception. He pitched a complete game and lost the game, and the no-hitter was stopped in the 13th inning.
But if a
Baumgartner-
no-hitter's 9 innings.
Baum-
But I digress.
Yeah, but Baumgartner did a legal scheduled game of 7 innings
I
and
gotta agree
completed
with
it.
Chip. I gotta
Well,
agree with Chip.
That's my
we're going to
technicality.
agree
I
to
gotta
disagree.
I gotta agree
Yeah.
with Chip on this.
Well,
So anyhow, that's getting back to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
yeah,
okay?
go ahead, Chip.
There's going to be a lot of work to do because, what are the Penguins going to do? Can they go into next season with the duo of Casey DeSmith and Tristan Jarry.
No, no.
You know,
I give you
mean,
my opinion. No.
Tristan Jarry is a very young goaltender, and he has shown some promise. Is this part of the learning curve for him? You know,
Well, when you talk about him, he does a lot of great things, and then he does a lot of dumb things, and some things you should know in the sport. Like he's back too far in the goal, whether he has bad coaching or not, like we've alluded to, because Murray was getting into that habit of being deep into the goal, and we know that's an issue.
And I'm going to touch on an area, and when you mentioned Matt Murray,
Yes.
and when the
That's why I
Penguins
did it.
got rid of Marc-Andre Fleury after their second consecutive cup, it made sense to make that move, okay, because of salary cap issues.
Money, yeah.
Okay, and how that move hurt Matt Murray, okay?
Yeah.
When Matt Murray was playing with Marc-Andre Fleury, who is a bona fide future Hall of Famer,
Oh, yeah.
okay, Matt Murray had to be his absolute best at every practice, every shot.
Good
He
point.
had to work his hind end off to be able to get ice time. Well, then once Marc-Andre was gone and he was the man,
Yeah.
did he get a little bit complacent?
Possibly.
You know, because, you know, look what happened. So, you know, if you want to call it the curse of Marc-Andre Fleury, you know, it's unfortunate. You know, there isn't a Penguin fan that wishes Marc-Andre Fleury was off that team. He was one of those beloved athletes,
Right.
like Andrew McCutcheon.
Yeah.
You know, like you know, that they're just. You hate to see them leave, but because of the economics of the game,
Yeah.
he had
happens.
I
to.
like the point you made about Murray. I mean, nobody's broken down like that, but that's so true, is because you have to work so hard. Like Steve Young used to say, he worked so hard in practice, and him and Joe Montana, because they both wanted to start.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they pushed each other. So
Sure.
that's a great point. Great
Oh, that's
point.
what happens.
Well, you know, and Matt Murray has fallen off the face of the earth. He was one of the worst goaltenders in hockey this year. So, you know, what's it going to take to get the fire lit under his belly? Can this be a moment that Tristan Jarry realizes how much harder he has to work to be a starting
could
goaltender?
be.
You
It
know,
could.
I mean, so I don't know. It depends on how much money they've got invested in him, how long he's signed for, whether or not it's going to make sense
Right.
to make him go away. And then if you're going to make him go away, who are you going to replace him with?
You got to get
There
a
is,
veteran.
you know, I mean, because let's not lose sight of the fact we have salary cap issues.
Right.
We have so much money invested in a small core group of
Three players.
that, you know, who's going to come here? And I mean, if somebody's going to come here, you want to get a free agent, you got to open up the bank vault. And if you don't have the money to pay them,
How do you
they're
do
not
it?
going to come.
Yeah.
Yes, Jim.
A little birdie told me that don't be surprised if the Penguins sign Ovechkin. Somebody did say that. He's going to be on the market.
He's going to be a free agent, but I don't
You
know
know
how
what
they
he
can
said?
afford.
You know what Ovechkin said? I'll end my career with Washington.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
You understood Russian?
Yes. I speak Ebonics and a couple other languages you've taught me.
Do you speak Italian?
Yeah. I grew up with all Italians.
I hope so. I hope he
No,
comes
but
here.
that's what's going to happen.
I
But
hope he comes
Chip, I'm a little bit worried whether they keep Jarry just because of how bad he did look.
Well, see, here's what you have to do: is you know the knee-jerk reaction, and you look
No,
at
I know how that is.
you look
yeah.
you look at Twitter and the social media accounts. What you need to do is you need to step away from everything.
Oh, yeah.
And then realistically reevaluate what you have, what you don't have. What do you need to make this a Stanley Cup contender next year? And if you go off of the emotions of last night, you might make a bunch of foolish decisions
I agree.
that you might regret.
I
So
agree.
I think at this point, you know, and I'm really glad to see that the coaches in Pittsburgh sports teams don't buy into the social media
Yeah.
BS because you know everybody's everybody's a general manager.
Right.
Everybody's, a Hall of Fame coach. Everybody knows exactly how to fix anything, and they can't balance their checkbooks.
Exactly. No, you're exactly right. And they will be prudent on it. But there are a couple key things where they may get rid of a player like Gensel. Think about this, Chip. What if they get rid of Gensel and get a couple quality players?
Yeah, but
they could do that.
There is that possibility, but we're up against salary cap issues.
Well,
Okay,
no, I understand the cap, but I'm just throwing some things out there.
But these are all things that they're going to have to sit down and they're going to have to, as an organization, decide which way are we going to move forward, because the window of opportunity is closing rapidly. Now, here's the one thing that's really interesting. Brian Burke, who is now director of player operations,
Right.
in October, before the season started, he said that the Penguins' window of opportunity for winning another cup was closed.
Right.
Okay.
I remember that.
Then, in January, he becomes director of hockey operations.
And Lemieux asked them to be that.
Yes, and Ron Hextall is working in tandem with him. So, is the window closed? And if it's not closed, what do you need to do to put this team to the next level? And I honestly think they need to bring in. This is one of hockey's biggest problems. If you are going to let people play rough, fight or whatever, then you've got to have that
Players.
kind of an element on your team
Yeah.
to protect your stars and to harass you. Now, the Washington Capitals have Tom Wilson.
Right.
And he is hated by everybody. I guarantee you, if he was in a Penguin sweater, we would love him. You would love him the way we liked Greg Lloyd, the way we liked Jack Lambert, you know, the way we love James Harrison,
Right.
I mean, he's the kind of player, but you need that kind of an element on your team.
Right.
Because
So we had the opportunity with Sullivan and Rutherford with, who was it that we got? Reeves.
Yes.
Ryan Reeves. We had a guy.
And Sullivan and Rutherford wanted him, and Sullivan didn't want
And
him
he
on
didn't
the team
play him.
because he doesn't fit into what. And how do you argue with Sullivan's method?
Success, yeah.
With the back-to-back Stanley Cups, but you have to be able to adjust your method of play to the talent that you have on the ice.
Well, I hate to say this about Sullivan, but Bausma ran into the same thing his last couple years. That, like you alluded to, there were no changes.
Yeah, you have
and that's what's happening with Sullivan.
That's what
and
happened.
his system.
That's what happened to the Pirates.
Right.
They were there at one moment. They were on the cutting edge.
98.
And then all of a sudden, everybody caught them up and passed them, and they didn't change with the times.
Right.
Now they're behind the 8 ball and they're playing catch up. And I think that's what we got going on. With the
that's
Pittsburgh
what's
Penguins.
going on. We'll have to see, and it's tough when you have 3 core players with another year for Malkin and Letang.
And Letang probably paid one of his better seasons in the last half dozen this year. Crosby's always been good.
Yeah.
Malkin's been a disappointment.
Yep, and he has a bad knee now, too, so we got to watch that. But I appreciate all of you watching our shows. Thanks to Smokin' Jim, Chip Hayner, Tony from Chick-fil-A to give us a question or two. Anthony's here by himself, taking us down to the bitter end now, so we're ready to end it. We'll see you next week. We'll still be on Thursday night, so check us out next week, and please stay Joey strong.